Hi, it's Florian, and in this video I'm going to talk about working from home or working remotely. I've been working from home since March 2020, so since the pandemic started. We have now January 2022, so it's nearly 2 years that I've been working remotely. And I want to share my experiences, share my thoughts, and also share the implications that it has to me and maybe to everyone who is working with me. One thing that I noticed is, of course, I have a better work-life balance. I don't need to commute anymore. I was in the car for 1.5 hours every day, and that is basically gone. I go to the office maybe once a month, and the rest of the time I'm just sitting in front of my laptop and in front of my camera and basically have meetings or do some PowerPoint presentations or fill out some Excel sheets or do stuff like that. So I really enjoy not having to commute every day. It's much more predictable. You get up, you have breakfast, brush your teeth, whatever, and then you go to work. And that is something that I really enjoy, that it's much quicker. I really save a lot of time, and it helps me to do whatever else I want to do after or before work. Another thing that I noticed is, of course, I travel less. So before I traveled maybe once a month. I needed to go to different countries, different places, and I don't basically do that anymore. And the company I'm working for, and that's not the only company, also cut their business travel budget the last year and this year and maybe next year too. So since everyone noticed working remotely works and having meetings remotely also works, people travel much less. And I also travel much less, which is, on the one hand, it's good. On the other hand, I sometimes also enjoy traveling. You see other people, other countries, a lot of airports, which is not so great. But that is something I, on the one hand, miss. On the other hand, it's fine that I'm home more, basically. Another thing I noticed is that salaries went up, interestingly, for skilled workers all over the world. People are working remotely more, and especially engineers are making more money. I didn't figure out why, because I don't think that the shortage of engineers is something that just comes over you when you have a pandemic, but apparently something changed, and we need to pay more money for people. And people also want to have more money and want to have more freedom when they work. So these are basically the positives, and I would never like to go back and work from 9 to 5 every day and have to go to the office. That's something I will never do. Before I do that, I will leave my job and start my own thing. I would not do that, or find another company where I'm able to work remotely at least three days a week. And my colleagues also do that. So I'm not alone with this attitude. There are, of course, some drawbacks from working at home. One thing is that the clear separation between your work life and your private life goes away. It's one thing. You can work and then you go and shop or go to have a doctor's appointment or do whatever. And then you go back to work again. So there's not such a clear separation anymore. If you want to have the separation, you need to take care that you do it on your own. It's not that the employer will separate it for you, or basically that you are at work and you are at home is also a separation that's not there anymore. One thing that's also negative is that the attachment to your colleagues and also the connection to your colleagues and to the company you work for degrades and is less. So if you start a new job and you start working from home all the time, you will never have a real connection to the company and to your colleagues, or such a connection than you would have if you meet them every day and if you are there every day. I also noticed that people, if they have been working pre-pandemic for the company for some years and then post-pandemic, it's okay. But if you start at a company, it's really hard, and your employer needs to have some kind of plan how to integrate you. Otherwise, people will just be working for the sake of working somewhere and not working for a company because they want to work for the company. That's something the employer needs to do, but you should also be aware that it's different than a pre-pandemic. Working remotely doesn't just give you the attachment to people. which is a problem that you have anyway. So if you see people through a screen, it's okay, but it's different. You need to have sometimes maybe a drink with them, or do something, some team events, either if your employer wants it, or you do it on your own and meet with colleagues face to face at least once or twice a year. So you see them, and you get a completely different connection to them. That is something that also degrades due to working from home. One thing that you also should know, especially as an engineer, working remotely is not something you can do all of the time. It also depends on what kind of work you're doing. So if you are doing, for example, electronics development, you might be working from home when you do a layout, or you look at the circuit and do stuff like that. But the moment you have a prototype, you will need to go to the office, and you will need to use the measurement equipment that's there. You can't just take everything home to you. That is also true if you work internationally. So if you have people working in Asia and in Europe and in the US, you can't ship prototypes all over the world all of the time. So you might also need to go to some place where you have the prototype, where you work together as a team with the different disciplines. So there are phases where you might need to go to the office, and there are phases where you might be able to stay at home. And those might be maybe 3 months one phase, 3 months another phase. It depends on what you're doing. If you're a software developer, usually you can work from everywhere, all of the time. You don't need to go to the office. And if all of the stuff you do is in the cloud, like your version control and so on, you can work from everywhere. That's not an issue. What another thing that is I would say the ugly thing when working from home is meetings. When you work in an office, you go to a meeting, you have a meeting room, and you sit there and you talk to people, and then you go out of the room and do whatever you want to do, maybe go to the next meeting or go to your place and do work, whatever you do. That changes dramatically if you work from home. Especially if you are in a managing position, you will have tons of meetings. In average, I have a 2-digit number of meetings every day. And people calling me and meetings about R&D stuff, so projects and project costs and budgeting and HR things, replacing people, finding people, people's salaries, the workers' council, whatever. And a lot of these kind of meetings I have every day. And then, of course, team meetings and regular meetings and information meetings and all of these stuff. So I have really tons of meetings, and those are back to back. So you often don't have a minute between two meetings. So that is very bad. Sometimes if a meeting takes 2 or 3 minutes longer, then you go directly to another meeting with a completely different topic. Let's say you have one meeting where you talk about the performance of someone and maybe the plans the person has for the next year. And the next meeting you have a budget meeting. And then the next meeting you have a meeting about the project or the architecture of software or whatever. It is different topics all of the time. And that stresses you out a lot. So if you do that for 8 hours, you are very tired. Sometimes I work more than 8 hours, of course. And in the evening, it becomes very stressful. So that is an issue when working from home. People think that they can reach you all of the time. So the moment your Microsoft Teams bubble is green, or you see that someone is available to call, you get calls. Someone always calls you, even if you think I should work now. So what I'm doing now is I'm blocking my calendar if I want to work. And if I'm at the office, I block my calendar as absent, so that people know they can't reach me. But actually absent means I'm in the office, which is very strange. Before the pandemic, it was when I was absent, I was not at the office. Now when I'm absent, I am in the office. That's the ugly thing. And I guess someone would need to find a solution for that, because it's not healthy for people. And it's not, I think it will drive performance down if you work like that. Especially in an international context where all of the time everyone is working. If you are from India to the US, over Europe, you can, at every time of the day, someone is working. And that is really not healthy, I think. And I guess someone will find a solution for that. I don't have one, but I guess you need one, because it's it's not sustainable, and it will drag performance down. Speaking about performance, I think what I noticed is that the performance didn't change. It didn't get much higher and it didn't get much lower than pre-pandemic. So people working from home are in average as good as if they go to the office, because usually people want to achieve something. So even if they are at home, they do something, and when they are in the office, they do something. You can't control it anyway. So if someone doesn't perform well, it doesn't really matter if he's in the office or not. Same is true if someone performs well, they will do it at home or in the office. It doesn't really change anything. That's my experience, at least. I personally, I will, as I said, never go back and have a 9-to-5 job 5 days a week, because I just enjoy not having to commute, and I enjoy that I have the freedom of working whenever I want to, and structuring my day as I want to do it. What is very important if you work from home is that you really structure your day, that you do things that are not related to work, and you also do them regularly, like working out, going for a walk, going outside, eating well, because it's very easy to degrade yourself if you work from home. If you get out of bed, sit in front of your PC, and then when you're done, you go on watching Netflix and you go to bed again. That's also not sustainable from a health point of view. So you should, when you work from home, even more be conscious of your own health, of your own well-being, also of your mental well-being, and make breaks. Also do vacations in between, and don't let yourself stress out too much. That are my thoughts to working from anywhere, working from home. I hope you learned something. If you have any thoughts about it, post them in the comments. If you like this video and the channel, subscribe. Have a great day. Goodbye.